Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. I am Brian M. Hauser. You can find us all over the place, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, at Hawk Blogger. And it's Tuesday, which can mean only one thing. It is a Hasselbeck Tuesday, starting with Matt, finishing with Annabelle at 5 on CX Collective. Man,
if you make it that long today. That was a late night, man. Late night, early morning shoot. I mean, I don't know how you do it.
Well, what about you? Did you watch the whole game?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how late were you up?
Too late. I think 1:15, I think, was the crazy thing is like these games are all the time now. They're not just like on Sundays. They're all the time. And if it's on, you're gonna watch it. And then you gotta have all the streaming services or have a way. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, you've been bi-coastal, so you can answer this for me a little bit. Like, I was trying to explain to folks that this is actually the latest start time for a Seahawks game, regular season game ever. And I've talked to a lot of fans that were like, yeah, like this is a hard thing for me to get to from the San Juans or from Spokane, or like, it just makes it like I'm more likely to sell. All the East Coast fans are like, are you kidding me? Complaining about a 7:00 start. I'm like, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you the reality. So like, what's your take?
It's nuts. I mean, listen, I'm in Nashville. I went to the Patriots Titans game this week, and I was coming back from LA. It's an early game. Like the game literally starts at 12. I mean, people are out there tailgating at 7 a.m. It's like, like it's different. No, listen, the NFL is going to tinker with it and figure out, what works for them. But like that's the thing. It doesn't even matter what they decide. Like if the game's on, we're going to watch it. So
it's true.
Especially when it's your team,
It's true. It's true. Matt, did you like high school? Tell me about Matt Hasselbeck. Were you on the school paper? Were you in like not just normal classes? What were you like drama, choir? Like, was there anything other than sports, other than normal classes, like woodworking? Like, what was your thing outside of normal classes?
I don't know if I want to out myself here. I'm
going to do that to myself. So
okay.
Just
all right. So listen, I was in the French club. I was on the chess team. I was, but I went to an all boys high school, and like your only chance of like seeing a girl all day long was to like get into some of these other activities, which we would do with our sister school. So like the motivation. But I remember I was getting ready to start in the Super Bowl for the Seahawks, and my high school put out like, I'm not even sure what it was. I heard about it later, but like they put out like advertisements for, I think it was the French club. It could have been the chess team, whatever it was. It was like, join the chess club and you can someday start as quarterback in the Super Bowl. It was kind of like I don't know. It's kind of funny. And they, yearbook photos, I guess.
Oh man. Well, I got to ask, how are you at chess? You a good chess player?
Thought I was pretty good. I used to play with Teddy Bruschi all the time on our on our Amtrak trains down to New York City for a Sunday countdown, and he would smoke me. Like
really,
I was like he all he did was play like computer chess like all the time, and Teddy's good at a lot of things. He's good at fishing. He's good at chess. He's good at football. He's run marathons. So
it's impressive.
Yeah, I know. Very impressive. But in my defense, like when we first started playing, I had a hard time understanding like who the different pieces were on our phones. Like he chose like these weird looking pieces. Like I'm used to like a queen's a queen, a rook, a bishop, like, like it's obvious what they are. He was a little tricky. He's disguising the coverage even in chess.
I see. I was going to say, Matt, if you were in, chess club and you didn't know what a king looked like, we were going to have some questions.
Nah, he uses like the weird, like the weird calligraphy looking like, I don't even know this bit, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Well, the reason I asked is so this is all going to connect. I promise. I was in a bunch of stuff, but I was on the newspaper and I wrote sports, and like all my friends, like I played a bunch of sports in high school as well, but I did not play football. Parents wouldn't allow it. And our high school had beaten our crosstown rival like 20 years in a row. Like it's just like we just dominated them. And our senior year, we lost. And I wrote a pretty scathing article that like our class will always be remembered as the one that broke the streak. And a bunch of my friends on the football team were just like, we're not happy with the way I wrote that article. So I'm accustomed to having some emotions flow through and maybe making some bad choices in what I write. And so before I tell you what I think of this Seahawks game, which I'm still in the middle of writing my column.
I have a sense. I saw your little promo tweet and I was like, he's not happy.
I've got to ask you, what do you make of that game last night?
Yeah, listen, I felt like these guys are going to screw around and throw this game away. Like there were times like they were, there's a saying that a coach I really respect has. There's the good, the bad, and then the stuff that gets you beat. And, like I can the bad's going to happen, but the stuff that gets you beat, the turnovers, the just like giving them life, giving them opportunity. I would hope that there's a self-scout in here eventually, maybe today. But no, like as a player, especially, and I think as a coach, like when you win a game, you come in after and it's all celebration. Like I listened to the post-game talks and all that kind of stuff. And it's very much, way to have each other's back. Like, let's go. Like we did it. We're a family. We're together. Like big win. And like, I do believe that that's how you have to approach last night. However, I do think that there's like a lot of looking in the mirror today, sort of tell the truth Monday, or even the bye week and say, okay, against a better opponent that has an offensive line that's not afraid to run the ball, we lose that game. Like we give it away. So yeah, there's room for critique, but just not last night, not at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Celebrating. I don't care how we won. We won. But yeah, it was dangerous. I'll give you that for sure.
If the Seahawks hadn't made the mistakes they made, we're going to talk about some of the mistakes, some of the questions at least I've got about it. If they had just kind of played a normal game, what do you think the difference in score would have been in that game?
Listen, I'm in this high school world. Like it was trending towards a running clock. I mean, let's be real. Yeah. This is like you're going in at halftime, be like, how do we not have these guys on a running clock already? Like that's what it felt like. You had all the things going, a wounded animal. They're one-dimensional. It shouldn't. What was the halftime score? Like 14-6, I think it was.
14-6,
which was crazy. Like it was absolutely crazy. If you're Houston, you're going to that locker room like, dude, it's 14-6. Like,
and they got the ball back to start the second half.
You know what I mean? Like we got the double score opportunity. Like, yeah, it was not great football, and I think they'll recognize that. I think it was really good in parts on defense, and there were some great things in the passing game. But like, you got to figure out how to close out a game. And I think that's, there's parity in the NFL right now, and the Seahawks are kind of in that upper echelon of teams. But to be like really in that group, you gotta finish it. They talk about this mob mentality. Maybe it's an acronym for something else. I believe it is. But, you got to finish the job, so to speak. And I think that was where they struggled last night.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks are going to look at the Cooper Kupp, reverse pass interception, and why do they keep taking the ball out of Sam Darnold's hands when he's playing well? I'm interested in your thoughts. That was like, for me, that was not a huge sin. Like it was Clint Kubiak putting something on film. The play was open. I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world.
I think Cooper Kupp's spending all that time in the quarterback room, so now everyone thinks he's an actual quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't love it. I don't hate the play, but there needs to be like, maybe you're up one more score, or maybe there's just like, ultimately when you call those kind of plays, like you're trusting the other person that you're putting in the hands, the ball in their hands. And I think just from everything that I've heard, everyone I've talked to, like the level of respect that they have for Cooper Kupp is off the charts.
Yeah.
Like it's like Hall of Fame type respect. And, so I get that, but there needs to be like this, like, I don't know, maybe like a fear, like at the very least, it's 2nd and 10 here, guys. For the guy that's being thrown the ball, for the guy that's throwing the ball, for like everybody, for the play caller, for everybody. It needs to be like a fear. And I'm not sure there was a fear there. It was almost like, yeah, we're just running a really cool play that looked good in practice. So like, yeah, I'm not going to fault him either. It's fun to even watch your own team do fun stuff. So like, that's fine. But no, that, like, if we're being real, like that gave them a little bit of life, it kind of did. And if you're an offensive lineman, you're feeling like, hey, we got them on the ropes. We're running the ball great right now. And this, we're saying we want to be a running team. Let's finish them. Like, let's impose our will on them instead of getting cute and, tricking them. Like, let's just literally bully them the way that we let our D-line bully them. Like, that's what O-linemen love to do. So, that's hindsight, Monday morning quarterback, but I think it's also fair.
Yeah, well, I get that. I do get that. I mean, especially the optics after, Sam Darnold had just thrown a beautiful pass on 3rd and 8 to JSN against Derek Stingley. JSN made Derek Stingley look like any other cornerback in this game. It was really impressive. And so having that and then go into that, it was 14-0 at that point. You had the ball at the 21-yard line. You turn it over. Then all of a sudden, Texans get their first points, and then you get a blocked field goal. Texans get their next points. It's like a lot of just kind of mistakes starting to pile up. But I'll tell you the thing that really burned me, Matt, was usually when we're talking about teams closing, it is about players doing their jobs, players executing. In this case, I did not understand why Clint Kubiak, when they had the lead that they did, and they were running the ball okay, refused to run the ball in the fourth quarter, that they just passed after pass. And like, it felt like they were insisting on giving the pass rush heavy Texans and the coverage strong Texans every opportunity to make this a game when it was 27-12. And just, even if you run 3 times, run 2 minutes off the clock and punt, that's fine.
No, it kind of reminded me of the Kyle Shanahan 28-3 Falcons, Patriots. Like, you're so confident in what you do in the run in the pass that you can kind of forget, like, hey, it's okay to go ahead and like win boring, win ugly. And, I know it's national TV, and I know it's like you put a lot into the game plan, and, I know you have confidence in your passing game. But no, like that's where it's like there's almost needs to be like a bully, a big brother, I don't know, just someone that's just like, run the ball, like run the ball.
Yes.
Like they're just like a little reminder, like a little nudge. And that's, I'm a huge fan of what the Seahawks have done offensively, but for sure. Like I'm sitting there. Let's just talk about the amount of like almost safeties that happened last night.
Oh my goodness.
It was, I think there were 4. It might've been 5. I think there were 4.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to even give them the opportunity to get you in a safety backed up. Like there's no reason. If you want to throw the ball there, I'm totally fine with throwing the ball backed up. It's just got to be like an on-time home run, make them pay. Like that's fine. The stats are good for that. But other than that, to just be running your normal offense when it wasn't a normal situation, up in points, backed up, all those things, there's just no reason to take the risk. There's just no reason.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you say you're a running team. Like, so like, I don't know. That to me is a self-scout. Like that to me has got to be probably a head coach directive to the offensive coordinator or the play caller, that just says straight up, like, hey, if we get in this situation again, here's the run pass ratio I need. And it's just, do whatever you want to do, but it has to fit in that. And that's what I think should happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe they say, no, we're gonna live by it. We're gonna die by it. We're gonna put the ball in the hands of our best players. JSN, Sam, they're playing amazing. We're good. I think it all works for the Seahawks though, because the run game is such a threat and it's such a foundational piece.
It's so funny. This is a team that runs the ball more than any other team in football. Like, they in a game where if you talk to Texans analysts and you look at their coverage, they're like, we got out-coached, out-schemed, which they did.
Well, there was some really, really, really questionable play calling for them as well.
Yes, talk about it.
Like, you're basically like saying to your O-line, you guys stink. Like, there's no way we could possibly get 1 yard. Like, what? Like, that was baffling. Here's the deal. They feared the Seahawks defense. They feared the Seahawks D-line. That was the whole thing. The Seahawks D-line got so in their head. They were like, well, we can't possibly run the ball. Oh my gosh. Like, and the announcers were saying it. So like, if the announcers are saying it, they probably heard it in the production meeting where their coaches are like, oh, they're so good up front. We're going to, and so like on the flip side, that's the reputation and the mindset and the respect that the Seahawks O-line and running game hopes to have. And I think some people have that for them, but that was an opportunity last night to like have efficient runs and just really impose your will. That to me was, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I got to ask you, maybe, I don't expect you to be a rules expert, but can you explain to me how CJ Stroud had forward progress by running straight backwards?
Bad rule. And, it doesn't get officiated consistently, that rule. I mean, I've lost many games where a guy gets, he's getting tackled. He stood up. The refs are slow to blow their whistle. And then just late, somebody just rips the ball out. Well, where's the forward progress there? I do think the NFL does a good job of when problems happen in a season, they review it. And if it comes up more than once, they review it and they'll change the rule. Ultimately, we have so many rules now, though, that even the people who are diehard fans are like, man, I didn't know that rule. That was crazy. But to me, I don't think you could watch that play over and over and over again and say oh, that's not a safety.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a safety.
I mean, how many
it kind of reminds me of well, what's a catch?
Right.
We've just oh, well, the rule says or whatever. It's it was a catch. It was a safety. It was an, tuck rule, whatever the stuff is.
You see a running back go into the line of scrimmage and then choose to run backwards to try to get around and reestablish a new line, a new forward progress, and lose yardage. I just don't understand that. So that one was bizarre, but we're going to get.
Can I just say one thing on the run? I think what happens to with the Seahawks, they do such a good job offensively. I think they do such a good job of getting into the right play. Some of the best runs yesterday were Sam Darnold sort of audibling to a good run, and not on his own necessarily, built in in the framework of the play. He'd kill it or can it or alert it or whatever, and he's turning it into a great play. Well, when they stack the box, if you're just, sticking in that one play at a time mentality, oh, it's a numbers game. They have too many. We've got an advantage in the passing game. Now we should throw the ball. Well, yeah, if it's the second quarter and it's whatever. So there needs to be what I would call it in minute plays. We don't care what you're doing defensively. We are running the ball. And you can't run every play in your playbook that way, but you can run some. And that's, I think, where sometimes your run pass ratio late in a game up, where we're sitting there what are you doing right now? It's probably because they're still just doing the math, blinders, one play at a time, kind of a mindset. So, I think that's what accidentally happens in the course of calling a game.
I promise we're going to get to the stuff that went well. But one more thing I got to ask you about is Sam Darnold has been an MVP caliber player all year. He made some unreal throws in this game, and we'll talk about those as well. That sack in the end zone, the awareness, the fact that he held on to that ball, double hitched, and then at the end also almost got another safety. Those are two examples of why people were so skeptical about him. And that's the first time this season I think we've seen that kind of poor decision making. I'm kind of curious how you read those kinds of decisions from him on that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a touchdown, right? It was a sack fumble touchdown. Yeah. Yep. So you took a bad situation, made it worse. No, it's a critical error. I mean, it's a critical error. But what I guess I'm saying is, don't even give him the opportunity to make that mistake. He's playing such great football. He's seeing it all well. He's seeing the blitz. He's getting to the right play. His eyes are in the right spot. He's doing so well. Help him by not even giving him the opportunity to screw it up. Literally there were drives that the Seahawks had. The better option would have been to take a knee 3 times and punt. That would have been better than what the result of the play was, or the result of the drive was. So think about that, that's a bad drive when that's the better option. So yeah, I just think you got to have I appreciate the confidence in him. I appreciate the confidence in the offense. I appreciate it. It's great. But you also got to know who your defense is. And you got to understand complementary football. I hear that word a lot. Well, let's call complementary football then. That's that's what that means. That doesn't just mean, oh, when I have a really terrible drive, you guys have a stellar drive. No, that's not what that means. It means we are doing our part to help our punt team, who's going to help our defense, who's really going to give us the ball back with great field position. Like, let's not put them in a sudden change situation. So, no, listen, I mean, nobody's going to be perfect, and it's a long season. It's, games are long, but like, to me, a self scout is like, help him be an MVP candidate. Like, help him out.
All right, so I've moaned enough. Let's flip sides here. The Seahawks won the game. They won the game.
That's the sign of a great team, though. It's a little bit a sign of a great team is that you're kind of nitpicking how you could have like dominated the team instead of had like a nail biter.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think Mike McDonald said it well. They've earned the right to expect to win, and they are. As far as I've watched a lot of football this year, I think they're as good as any other team out there. Like, they've got all the parts to potentially be able to do that. But this is a Texans team that hadn't allowed more than 20 points all year. And that was on a last-second touchdown to Baker Mayfield. The Seahawks scored 27. Seahawks defensively just absolute. I mean, I don't know. CJ Stroud looked like what was going on? He looked so happy feet in the pocket. He just was terrible last night.
Yeah, and I think he's a really good player. He's had a lot of turnover with the coaching staff. And I think one of the hardest things as a quarterback sometimes is that you work so hard to use a technique that one coach is telling you to do. So, like, let's use him. He's at Ohio State. He comes into the NFL at Houston. His coach is there. Hey, we want you to do it this way. He's like, all right, I'm going to work on that. New coach. And that coach is like, that's garbage. Why don't you do it this way? And then, like, that happens over and over and over. And you're like, man, I'm not sure like what to keep from my past, what to let go from my past. And, the talent around him is getting hurt. And I think Seattle's, a tough place to play when that crowd is really rolling. So, and listen, the Seahawks defense, I think they were pretty awesome last night. I think that's a real thing.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit more. I mean, what's standing out to you when you watch that defense play? As a quarterback, when you watch that defense play, what gets your attention?
I just think the fear, like the Texans were afraid of their D-line. Like, it was just a real thing. You call it respect. Like, it was, they respected, I think they respected the crowd noise. I think they respected really the front four. Like, that it was like a sign of respect. And listen, I thought we got away with a couple things. Like, maybe it's the Clark Haggans Super Bowl thing that's still over, but I think that was offsides on the, it was a critical play.
Yeah.
I don't know why the referees don't see that one as super, super unfair, but no, listen, that's okay though. Like, a great defense is swarming. I thought, like, if I had a critique of the defense, I would say, catch the interceptions that they throw to you. Yeah. Like that's, if you just catch the balls you drop, you automatically would lead the NFL in interceptions every single year if you just catch the ones they throw to you. And so maybe defensive guys, you can get on the jug machine as well. Like, it's good bye week activity for you. That would probably be my biggest critique of them.
Well, and it's pretty remarkable how dominating that defense was and has been, considering their starting secondary has played a collective 4 snaps together all season. And one guy that has now played a few games in a row, I'm interested in your take on him, is Emmanwori. 220 plus pounds, 6'3", runs a 4.3 40. Did you see him running down the field with Jalen Knoll, who's a 4.3 slot receiver?
Yeah, and I'm someone who doesn't get too caught up in like the combine stats of somebody, because I played with a lot of guys. Listen, I played with a lot of guys that would come through. We would sign them to our team, usually out of college, and they were unbelievable. And the scouts were super excited about them. And then the coaches were like, "This isn't my guy. He doesn't have that it factor or whatever." So like I'm slow to like I don't know. I just remember
you wanted to prove it on the field.
Listen, I just remember when they kicked Bobby Ingram to the curb, I had a very important scout come up to me and be like, "Don't you worry. We replaced him with 6 foot whatever and 4.34 and all this stuff." And I was like, "Oh, well, okay." And like, no, like wrong. It was a swing and a miss. Like, no. So like maybe there's some scars there, like I want playmakers. However, in this situation, I don't think that's what this is. I think this is a very talented player that reminds me a little bit of what Cam Chancellor was like his rookie year. he had all these tangibles, like his height, his physicality, like all of it. And he had a desire and a will to be great. And then you married him up and you put him in fertile soil with a great defensive back room. That year, I think Jerry Gray was the defensive backs coach. Awesome coach. And you had him and you had Earl Thomas in there, and you had Lawyer Malloy and Marcus Trufant and Kelly Jennings, like guys that had been around. And he developed into an incredible, incredible strong safety. Maybe one of the best strong safeties that's ever played. Maybe. But like he wasn't that initially. And so like I do think this is a similar situation where like you don't have to be Cam Chancellor right away. You can kind of come in and you've missed some time, you can learn, you can watch, but like, hey, the future is really bright. The future is really bright. And you see why everyone would be excited, because the tangibles do matter. I'm not saying that they don't matter, but I think it's that plus a lot of other stuff.
So, I shared that I think this is one of the better teams in the NFC and really in the NFL. After 7 weeks, 5-2 record, tied for tops in the NFC, not playing their best football. Where do you see the Seahawks team?
It's good. It's good. You're 5-2, not playing your best football. It feels good, actually, because like how good you can be, and I think it helps a coaching staff too, where you can say like if this team was 7-0, which ironically they probably could be, but like if this team was 7-0, it'd be really hard to like coach the fine points, coach the details. It's easy to sweep things under a rug after like a win. So like now you can say like, hey, we're 5-2, but like the details matter. The difference between winning and losing is just like right here. Like, let's think about the 49er game. Like that's still got to eat at them. Now it's going to eat at them in a way that they get to play them again. And they know that, but that's also the competition. The Rams are playing great football. So like, you can kind of sort of like be aware that that's going on. And yet, because you're sort of like casually aware that that's going on, you can have this like laser focus. Like they get a bye week, coaches get to work at that, but as players, you get to heal up. And what is it? Washington Sunday Night Football. Like you're geeked up, you're gassed up. Like let's go. But you're also, I think the schedule is really favorable for the Seahawks. So you're getting them probably at the right time, probably with no Jaden Daniels. Like, hey, there's an excitement that should be building in this locker room. Like, why not us? Like this could be a great year for us. Like this, and we don't really deserve it yet, but we know we're just scratching the surface of what we could be. Run game, secondary has been really, really good. Could be great. Like there's special teams at times great, but also, it'd be great if you were the reason that we won a couple games. Like, so I don't think it's a bad spot to be for the coaching staff to have this kind of like level of, hey, we can show you how we could go from like an 8 or a 9 to a 10.
We're talking to Matt Hasselbeck, Ring of Honor member, Seahawks top 50 player of all time, Seahawks legend. And Matt, you mentioned scars, and last thing I want to talk about with you, the Mariners had a pretty crushing defeat last night. And I know from talking to you in the past, it's not your favorite memory to go back to the Super Bowl and kind of a big moment where things went wrong and something that kind of stuck with you. If you had words to share, if you could talk to the guys, the coaching staff, the management staff, the players who were, Cal Raleigh said this, I don't want to use the word failure, but our goal was to win a World Series, and this was a failure. Like we just didn't do what we set out to do. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, listen, I don't mind going back. It's actually therapeutic for me to talk about the Super Bowl sometimes, but no, listen, I think that him saying failure in that moment, like it hurts. And like, you don't know what to say right after. I will say though, that in defeats, sometimes those defeats can propel you to the future success that you're going to have. And had you not had the defeat, maybe where you had it, they didn't lose the World Series. Like but they're kicking at the door trying to get there. And maybe it's a tough, heartbreaking loss like this that helps you like, really do that, kick down the door, not knock on the door, kick down the door. And like, we're not going to be denied. Like, what do we need to do differently? I talked about, I think one time with you in 2005, we made the Super Bowl, but in 2003 and 2004, we lost on the last play of the game in the wild card. And to get from like, sort of like a team that's losing on the last play of the game in the wild card to a team that's hopefully going to hoist the Lombardi, We knew that we had to do something drastically different. If we were going to do what we've always done, we're going to be what we've always been. And like something drastic had to happen in a lot of areas. Now, drastic meant like maybe we all got 4 or 5% better, and then collectively we're way better. But I think there was an excitement and a seriousness and a belief, like a true belief, like, hey, we can get this done. We're right there. We can get it done, but let's leave no doubt. And I think that that's a great mindset. It's probably really hard to have right now, but it's a mindset that you can have in a week, a month, but you can all have it together. And like that goes into free agency. That goes into like how you attack all kinds of stuff, who you're bringing onto your team, who you're willing to let go, who's all in, like who's got a maniacal obsession with, for us, it was hoisting a Lombardi. And if you don't have that, like maybe we don't need you, and if you do have it, let's get more guys to care about it the way that you care about it. And like, so listen, I think in all failures in life, there's an opportunity to learn from it and to just really be completely changed and different. And, who knows? This was a pretty magical year, pretty magical, exciting season, but it's not the same as getting to actually, come back and have a parade.
Yeah. Wise words, Matt Hasselbeck. Matt, great talking to you as always. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
All right. You too. See you, Brian.
All right. That is Matt Hasselbeck, the best in the biz. Such a absolute treat to talk to him every week. And, it is absolutely, I'll talk a little bit more about the Mariners toward the end, but I'll just say this, that Matt's stories about that early 2000 Seahawks team has been kind of ringing in my head as I watched the Mariners this year. That Seahawks team was super talented, young, up and coming, and they kept running into the Rams. They just couldn't quite get by them in the playoffs. Just some bad moments, and they found the kind of final pieces. And then 2005, they were the best team in the NFL. Now, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but they should have, and they made that leap to being that good of a team. And I think that's what's ahead for these Mariners. Now, I'm fully aware as anybody, how many things have to work out health-wise. Players playing their best ball in the together in the same season, contracts lining up, all the things that have to happen for you to get all the way to a World Series. I get it. It is really rare for all those things to happen. And yes, I thought the 2005 Seahawks would be back for another Super Bowl. I thought that the 2014 Seahawks would be back for another Super Bowl, and they weren't. So I'm fully aware of how many things have to be in place. At the same time, I feel like this Mariners team is much more like those 2003, 2004 Seahawks squads that just almost, I think they benefited from this experience of heartache of getting this close and not doing it. And I think there's a lot of what they did this year that is sustainable. I don't think Cal's going to hit 60 home runs every year, but I don't think Julio can be better than he was for a lot of this year. I think that they can have a better offense for the first half of the season, depending on what they do in free agency. I think they've got an excellent farm system, the best farm system in baseball. I think Colt Emerson coming in at shortstop instead of JP Crawford, although JP had a nice game yesterday. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I think the Mariners are set up to take a step forward next year and potentially for years to follow, because I think baseball is a little different than football in that way. There's a reason the Astros were able to sustain success for so long with the farm system and the young talent that they had. I think the Mariners are in a similar state. I realize nobody probably wants to hear that right now. There's just pain and suffering, and I get that, but I'm pretty bullish on where that team is going. So, switching back to the Seahawks, I see there's some super chats. We will get to those in just a second. Folks, if you haven't already, a great time to head over to SimplySeattle.com. Use code HawkBlogger15. Get 15% off all your favorite Seahawks gear, Mariners gear, Kraken, whatever it is that you like from Seattle sports. You see, I've got my hat. Sorry, I always get that wrong. Over there, I'm wearing it. I don't know how I feel about it's a little tall, but I love this hat. It's just Chuck Knox. It's iconic. So SimplySeattle.com, use code HawkBlogger15. You can get your Seattle sports gear for a great discount. And go to jkboots.com/hawkblogger. Get some boots for the fall. These are awesome handmade boots, Washington-owned company. jkboots.com/hawkblogger gets you a great deal on great boots. I promise you, you will not regret it. So grab these while you can. And then head over to Sleeper. Grab the Sleeper app. It is fantastic. And let them tell you a little bit more about it.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HAWKS. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Yeah, download the Sleeper app and use code HAWKS. You get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, so let's get to some of these super chats, and I've got some more on this Seahawks game. Josiah Blackman says, what do you think about adding to this receiver room before the deadline? I think adding a player like Rashid Shaheed could help more than people think. Yeah, I mean, Torrey Horton's definitely gotten a little quieter of late. He had some opportunities last night, did not make the plays. It wasn't necessarily egregious mistakes, but wasn't exactly blowing by people either the way you'd hope he might. He did injure his ankle, but did come back in the game. I'm not against it. I do think the receiver room is fine. And I think this is a team that generally is running 12. And then after the bye week, you're going to get Robbie Utes back. Going to be a lot of 21, two backs sets. They actually did a fair amount of that last night. Brady Russell got as many snaps last night as he has in a while. So I just don't know that you're going to get many receivers beyond Cooper Kupp and JSN on the field. And I think Chris Olave is one guy that I am intrigued by because Cooper Kupp is not a long-term solution. As well as I think he's played so far this season, I don't think you can assume he's going to be with you for, 3 years, let's say. So that's one for me that I kind of think about. If you could get a player like Olave buying low, but generally speaking, I don't think it's a huge priority that they go out and get a receiver. So that's my take on that. Brent says, if you're not up 21 plus, please no Milrow or trick plays. If the Texans were the preview for the Rams, we got to clean it up. 4 turnovers won't be forgiven with them. Oh, 100%. I mean, if this was against Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, that offensive line, Kyron Williams, like, Seahawks don't win this game. In fact, I mean, I'm still writing my morning after, so I haven't had a chance to finish it, but I'll just say this game reminded me of the Rams loss last year at home, where the Seahawks threw multiple red zone interceptions, including 100+ yard pick six. They missed an extra point. They couldn't get a 3rd and short and a 4th and short in overtime in Rams territory. Like, they did a million things to lose that game. And the Rams finally were like, okay, if you really want to give it to us, we'll take it from you. And they did. But the Seahawks weren't playing the Rams last night. They were playing the Texans. And as well as I think the Seahawks defense played, and they played really, really well, I think that CJ Stroud played horribly. Like, he was inaccurate. His feet, like, I've told you this before. If you just show me the feet of a quarterback, I will tell you whether that throws on target. I will tell you whether that quarterback is playing a good game. I don't even have to see where the throw's going. And if you watch just CJ Stroud's feet last night, the amount of times that he threw off a solid base, I felt like less than 5 of his pass attempts. Like, he was just bailing. He was off balance, off platform. It was, and I think, yes, there was pressure, but I think a lot of it was just him too. So agree with this take 100%. The trick plays, I'll talk a little bit more about that. I hear you. I've certainly said my piece on the Jalen Milroe package. I didn't think that the Cooper Kupp reverse was the worst thing I've ever seen. The result was really bad, but Cooper Kupp needs to be the person held responsible there. I love Cooper Kupp. I trust Cooper Kupp. He made a bad throw and maybe a bad decision. Like if he, yeah, I think that was not a particularly challenging throw to make. He was way off target. And if he's that far off target on that throw, then he probably shouldn't have thrown it. Like, like he has to know himself a little bit there. And the coaching staff should be able to trust him above all players. Andrew McRae says Nwosu and Nwosu both made plays last night. I hope that Nwosu guy gets involved soon. I'm not sure I follow. Sorry. I think I'm missing something on that one. Hawk Scoots has been a member for over a year, says definitely have a spring in my step today. I don't get this one either. What am I missing? Rob Gregerson says, Brian, I hope you know how much you and all of your hard work means to so many of us. Truly appreciate you, man. Wow. That's very nice, Rob. I appreciate you, dude. So yeah, I will say I did consider doing a post-game show last night. It was going to be a solo post-game show because none of the other guys were going to be silly enough to do an 11 p.m. Post-game show. I knew I had to wake up to get my son off to school this morning at like 6. Actually, I had to wake up at 5:30, and then also have to write my article and had my show with Matt. So I was like, I'm gonna give myself a break on post-game show last night. Plus, I was pretty pissed. I don't know if I've been as aggravated after a win, especially after a convincing win, as I was after this game. Like, I found myself from basically the moment after the Cooper Kupp pick, when they then gave up a field goal and then got a field goal blocked and gave up another field goal. I was white knuckling that whole game. And then finally, they get up 27-12. And I was like, awesome. All right. Can relax. Maybe even my friend and I can get out of here a little bit early. I can catch the rest of the game, on the drive home. But no, Mike McDonald, Clint Kubiak called passing play after passing play in the fourth quarter, up 27-12. I was irate. Like, these aren't hard decisions. They just aren't hard decisions. These are easy calls. I don't even care. Yes, you had a false start or a holding, like you're behind the 6. I don't care. The first down is not what matters in that situation. The clock is what matters. The clock runs when you run. And if you're going to pass the ball, which, by the way, I am okay if you pass the ball. It's not that you can't pass it. They need to be possession passes. They need to be screen passes. They need to be passes that you are certain are going to run the clock. Instead, they are passes downfield. They're passes. Even the Elijah Arroyo catch, where you're like, hey, see, it worked, even though he fumbled. Like, that was in the middle of 3 defenders. And guess what? Yes, he made the catch. But it's not a huge shock then that they're able to crash on this guy, jar the ball free. If he had not caught it cleanly, if it had ricocheted, chances of an interception are high. The interception that Sam threw a few possessions later over the middle, like, yes, Sam made a bad decision there, or bad throw, whatever you want to say. But I put like 90% of the responsibility on Clint Kubiak for making that play call. And I put responsibility on Mike McDonald for he hears these play calls going over. He sees what's going on. He is a smart coach. At some point, you've got to say, no, we've got to run the ball. And yes, I get while everyone's been complaining about the Seahawks getting too conservative with leads in the past few games. I personally don't feel that way. I have not been one of the people. You've not heard me on this saying, oh, you're getting too conservative. The only time I thought they were too conservative is when they ran 3 times with Zach Charbonnet in the red zone against the Jaguars last week. That was too conservative. I didn't like that. But they kind of went the exact opposite. They went to like Mike Leach, like just absolute balls to the wall, throw caution to the wind. We are going to throw it all the time. That's just not smart. And so to have such a easily avoidable set of mistakes lead to not only turnovers, but the clock not running. If you had run the ball and fumbled, I mean, I don't know, like you literally could just have run 4 minutes off the clock in 2 possessions. And you didn't. You just didn't. So that for me was really, really aggravating. If I had done a post-game show last night, it would have been even more negative than I'm being this morning because I was super pissed. It took me a little while to fall asleep. And thankfully, this defense is, I mean, this defense is damn good, right? The fact that that Seahawks defensive line absolutely manhandled the Texans was fantastic because they were able to do that 1 week after doing the same thing to the Jaguars offensive line. And I told you all leading up to this game that the Texans offensive line, the right side especially, was not terrible. Ed Ingram was the number 1 ranked guard in the NFL by PFF coming into that game. Titus Howard was playing pretty well at right tackle. I thought they were going to have to attack the left side. Didn't matter. They could attack both sides. And here's one of the funny things. I don't know how funny it is, but Boye Mafe, he has got to be having the best season of an edge player without any sacks that I've ever seen. I have not seen PFF grades yet. I'll go check and see if they're out yet. But I think he played a really good game last night and still could not get that final sack in place. PFF grades are out. All right. You guys are going to get first here. I'll let you listen. And on cue, let me go through PFF grades. Boye Mafe, the highest graded Seahawk on defense. I bet most of you would not have guessed that. I would have. He had an 83.4 grade, had 5 pressures yesterday. 5 pressures and almost had a sack. Man, that's 2 straight weeks with 5 pressures for Boye Mafe. Kobe Bryant, second highest graded defender, 75.9. Brandon Peely had some nice plays, only 7 snaps, but had a 75 grade. Byron Murphy had a 70 grade. Tariq Woolen, I thought Tariq had an okay game. And I mean, the guy made a play on a ball down the field, got his head turned, was a little worried that was going to be PI, but I think he played it pretty well. He had a 69.5 grade, which, let's see, I think, yeah, that's his highest grade of the season. So let's take that. That was good to see from Tariq Woolen. And I think that he actually got some snaps in nickel last night. If I saw correctly, he got 1 snap. Just 1 snap. I thought I saw him there more than that, but it was just 1 snap. So Tariq Woolen at 69.5. Nick Emmanwori has a 67.2 grade, had 3 pressures, also had a 67.8 grade in coverage, 66.6 in run defense. I thought he was great. Ty Okada had a 64.9 grade, had a sack. I thought Ty made some really nice plays. DeMarcus Lawrence had a 64.8 grade, had 4 pressures and a sack. Josh Jobe, 63.8. My goodness, could that guy have had a much better game if he had just made the picks that were thrown right to him. Drake Thomas was pretty good last night, I thought. 63.6 grade, 64.5 in coverage, 3 pressures. I thought he was really good. Mike Morris had a 62.4 grade and 8 snaps. Leonard Williams was 61.4. That seems crazy. He had 3 pressures. I thought he was a monster last night. Boye Mafe, 58.7. He had 6 pressures. So they didn't like his game for some reason. And then Ernest Jones had a 50.7 grade. I thought he was pretty good. Had a pick last night on his back. So yes, everyone can say PFF grades suck. Fine. Like, it is what it is. On offense, the highest graded players, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Is this guy like no longer offensive player of the year? Is he an MVP candidate? I mean, this guy was unreal last night. 90.1 grade that led the Seahawks on offense. Abe Lucas, 82.6 grade, 87.5 run block grade. That makes me want to go check something else real quick. Let's take a look. Where does Abe Lucas rank across offensive linemen? He is the 15th highest graded tackle in the NFL right now. The Seahawks have the 12th in Charles Cross, 77.3, 15th in Abe Lucas in 75.3. They are getting some really good tackle play, and they did it against really, really good edge rushers. Like, I've got to look at this for a second, but I think let's take a look at who gave up pressures. No surprise, Anthony Bradford had a really rough game. But if we look at the Texans defense, well, Will Anderson got 6 pressures. Daniel Hunter got 5. I thought generally that the pass protection was pretty good, except for when Sam Darnold made some really questionable decisions. Anyway, so Abe Lucas had an 82.6 grade. That's great. Zach Charbonnet had a 79.9 grade. Jalen Sundell, 79.0 grade, 85 pass block. That's great to see for him. Easily his highest graded game of the year. Charles Cross at 68.4, Eric Saubert 62.7, Sam Darnold 61.4, his lowest graded game of the year, and I think deserved. I think this was his worst game of the season, even though he made some unbelievable plays. This was a game where Sam Darnold, I felt like really made some poor choices and cost his team. So didn't love that game from him. Gray Zabel 60.1. And then it gets bad. Yeah. So, and Anthony Bradford had the worst grade for those wanting to know, 40.0, 15.2 pass block grade. He did have a 62.8 run block grade, and had his first couple penalties of the year. So that's the one thing he's been doing well, is not getting penalties. He did get a couple in this game. So that wasn't great. All right. So I had lost my train of thought. we'll get back to it. I'll just say, I thought that this was a really impressive game because of how many mistakes the Seahawks made. There's literally never been a team in the history of the NFL that has had 4 turnovers, had a -3 turnover ratio, given up a defensive, a non-offensive touchdown, gone like 2 for 12 on third. Like, never been a team that did what the Seahawks did last night and won. It's never happened. The amount of mistakes are staggering, and they won by 8 points. And they really, even toward the very, very end, they should have won by, 17. So I think that just goes to show, like, that's when talent shows through. And you do have to give Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold and JSN and Elijah Arroyo and some of these other guys credit for getting the 14-0 lead in the first quarter when this was looking like it was going to be a rout. So this wasn't all bad. But I also have some questions about, they held out Devon Witherspoon. They held out Julian Love. John Schneider and Mike McDonald both acknowledged that they could have played. That is one of the first times I've ever heard a team make a decision like that. It's not like the Seahawks are in week 17 and have already wrapped up a bye week. They were 4-2. They were behind in their division. They'd lost 2 out of 3 games at home. Their secondary in their last home game had been absolutely torched. They were going against Nico Collins and CJ Stroud. They had to feel so good about this matchup to do that. And if they had lost this game, I mean, you could really point the finger at just an inexcusable decision to sit those guys. But it worked. It worked. So I personally was not a big fan of the process there. Not a big fan of the process. The result, good enough. Good enough. I'll be honest. I didn't like the decision Mike McDonald had on 4th down, 4th and 1 in Texans territory to punt it. What are we doing here? AJ Barner has gotten every single tush push they've run with him. Every one. And you punt it and it ends up you gain like 18 yards of field position for that. Like, what are we doing? Like, it was very aggravating. A lot of self-inflicted wounds. But Seahawks are 5-2. They're tied for first in the NFC West. They're tied for first in the NFC overall. This is a team that you should feel like can get better and will get better. I am so eager to see Devon Witherspoon and Nick Emmanwori on the field together. I cannot express enough how impressed I am with Nick Emmanwori in his first few games. I was worried that discipline and maybe coverage and some of these things would be a problem for him. Him running down the field with Jalen Noel, man, 40 yards, 50 yards, whatever it was downfield, stride for stride. I hear what Matt Hasselbeck was saying about Cam Chancellor. Physically, he is similar size to Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor is not running down the field with a 4-3 slot receiver. That was not his game. Cam was a lot of things, but he was not a one-on-one cover a wide receiver guy. He was a cover a tight end guy, but he was not that guy. And so I cannot express how special it is to have a 220 plus pound, 6'3" safety who can cover a slot receiver down the field like that. That is really, really like that's never, I don't know if that's ever existed, to be honest. Like that is really rare. So very, very excited about what he brings. You add Devon Witherspoon and Julian Love back into that. And then you add Derek Hall as well. And maybe, just maybe, the Seahawks make a trade or two. We'll see what they do there. Maybe they do try to add an offensive lineman. Maybe they do add another edge player. Maybe they add a receiver, like whatever they choose. There's some ways. Maybe they add a linebacker, although I think Drake Thomas played pretty well last night. I think they got to be pretty excited about how he's playing. I thought he had a great tackle for loss, really showed up in the run game, in the pass game. Thought he's pretty good. So this is a team that is, I think, 75% of what they can be. And they've led in every game at the end. The 2 losses came with late fourth quarter leads, both of them at home, both of them to teams that are also tied for the top record in the NFC at 5-2. So there's a reason the Seahawks are number 1 in the NFL in DVOA. They are number 2 in defense. They are number 7 in offense, 1st in special teams, 2nd in passing offense, 6th in passing defense, 2nd in rushing defense, 23rd in rushing offense. I thought the run game looked okay last night. I wanted them to go back to it. I mean, what am I missing? I know they lost some yardage a couple of times, but I want to go back and find how many negative yardage runs they had. I think it was only a couple. Ken Walker, like combined, they go 33 carries for, well, I'm going to take the Sam Darnold, AJ Barner ones off this. Kenneth Walker carried 17 times for 66 yards. That's 4 yards a carry. Zach Charbonnet carried 12 times for 49 yards. That's 4.1 yards a carry. That was the best that both of them have looked in the same game all year. Why are we not leaning into that? Yes, you had some success with Sam Darnold making some great throws and JSN being an absolute elite player. But then, like, go back to what made you, like, I just, yeah, that one's going to stick with me for a while. So yeah, I think this is a team that has a lot of good things ahead of it. And yes, we're going to get the next few games. You're talking about at the Commanders, who, by the way, they got an MRI back on Jaden Daniels on his hamstring. It does not sound like it's going to be a long-term thing. So I would not necessarily expect him to miss the game against the Seahawks in 2 weeks, but we'll find out. Then you have the Cardinals at home. I think that Commanders game, even if Jaden Daniels plays, you should expect to win that game. I didn't think that at the beginning of the year, but now I do. It's going to be a Sunday night game, another primetime game. You're going to have your full defense back. Go get it. Then you get the Cardinals at home, who, by the way, are playing much better with Jacoby Brissett. They may have Walter Nolan back, their rookie defensive lineman. I think that's going to be a tougher game than people want to believe. But they should win that game. They are the better team. Every reason to think they can get to 7-2. And then you've got a clash of the friggin' Titans. 7-2 Seahawks against 7-2 Rams. I think the Rams will probably be 7-2 as well. And you're going to be in LA for that game, November 16th. And November is a heavy road month. You're going to get at the Commanders across the country. You fly home, you play the Cardinals. You go down to travel to LA, which is not a long flight, but it's not super short. And then 7 days after the Rams game, you fly over to Nashville for the Titans game. So 3 reasonably long, 2 definitely like cross-country-ish road trips, and a trip down to face your biggest division rival in the Rams. November's a huge month for this team. I mean, and this season is just starting to, like, now that we're at the bye week, it's going to start flying by. And as Ernest Jones said, the season starts now. So you'll get Robbie Utes back. At some point, you will probably get Riley Mills. Don't know if there's going to be a spot for him on this team, but he might challenge Mike Morris. Maybe not. We'll see. Wouldn't surprise me if they just keep stashing him for as long as possible, but I will ask Mike McDonald about that, if not today, next week. So there's not a team in the NFL the Seahawks should fear. There just isn't. There are a lot of teams that should fear the Seahawks. And for now, I think their biggest thing they got to work on is just getting out of their own way. My goodness. Like, every game that has not gone right for them, you could just point to the mistakes that they have made that have kept them from winning. From the first game of the season to the Bucs game, like, yeah. So loved that the Seahawks got this win. I think I already kind of talked about the Mariners, so I'll leave it there. I loved this season for that team. I loved watching it. I loved experiencing South Downtown. I will share a little bit about the experience in South Downtown, the Stadium District, yesterday. I got down there at 3:00. You know, I ended up going to like the Victory Hall, kind of old Elysian Brewery bar, and posted up at the bar there and waited for my friend to get off work and join me. And it was great, man. It was so fun. I hope a lot of you took my advice yesterday and went out and experienced that evening together. Seeing the Mariners take the early lead and play like what was a really good game. I will forever think Dan Wilson lost that game by not bringing in Andres Munoz in that situation, but that's separate. It was such a great vibe. And then when I went inside finally to the Seahawks, to Lumen Field for the Seahawks game, folks, I have never seen it that empty. 10 minutes before kickoff, it was like 30% full, maybe 40% full. It was so empty. And it filled in a little bit, but you'll never see a Monday Night Football game, at least for a good team like the Seahawks are. People could not give away tickets. That's how much the city was just really eager to watch the Mariners game and did not want to fight traffic or did not want to be at a 7:00 start for a weeknight game. The Texans, they didn't know it, but they got the best gift. Like, this was the best opportunity for any road team to come into Lumen Field and win a game. This was not the loudest the crowd was going to be. The crowd was distracted. And then when the Mariners lost, you could just kind of feel a little bit of energy drain out of the place. That played some factor. But it was special. It was a special thing to be in there and to be downtown for what was really, I think, a once in a lifetime kind of situation. Now, maybe this will be common. Maybe next year the Mariners are going to be going for the World Series again, and the Seahawks are going to be playing for a Super Bowl, and we'll have more of these kind of conflicts. But it was a special night. I'm sorry for Seattle in general that we didn't get the double victory, but at least we got one. I mean, how catastrophic would it have been if the Seahawks had blown that game after the Mariners blew theirs? Like, that would have been a very Seattle sports evening. Thankfully, the Seahawks found a way to do it for them. Folks, if you haven't already given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. Make sure you give a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Really, really appreciate that. It takes you no time, and it really means a lot to me. And I'll say this, yesterday, apologies for the podcast getting out a little late. The AWS failure that was affecting all sorts of things across the country and the world made it so I couldn't post the podcast. So sorry for those that were waiting and wondering why it was late. That is why it's late. I always try to get those up as soon as I'm done with this. After I'm done with the show today, I'm going to finish my morning after article. Going to listen to Mike McDonald at 9:30 on Brock and Salk do his show. Tonight at 5:00, we will have Seahawks Collective. We also have a Mike McDonald press conference later today. And then the team's off. There'll be no other press availability this week. We won't see the team again until next week. So I'm going to have some ideas and some stuff I want to cover during the bye week. I'm kind of looking forward to it. But make sure you've clicked the bell to get notified when we go live. And I know some of you are saying you're not always getting notified when those things happen. Just know in general, I'm going to usually be trying to go live 7 a.m., 8 a.m. in the morning. And you know that every single day I'm going to have content for you. So always just go to the channel, check the channel. You should find stuff there. I'll also be posting some Hawk Blogger Tuesday stats at some point today, since I didn't get a chance to do that last night. So keep an eye out on Twitter for those. If you don't go to Twitter, sorry, I just don't have those go elsewhere. That's just the only place I feel like spending time posting, and I don't feel like posting it in 17 places. So take a look at those. I think we've hit all of it for now. Let me see if there's any other super chats. I think there might be. Yes, here's a few. Robert Lehman, who's been a member for 2 months, says, we need Oots back. Can't wait to be fully healthy. We do. I actually thought Brady Russell played a nice game as a fullback last night. Had some nice blocks, and the running game worked a little bit with him. So, yeah, but I am definitely eager to have Robbie Oots back. I know they are as well. Andrew McRae says, announcers keep mispronouncing Nwosu's name as Nwusu or Nwosu. I don't think they've gotten it right once this season. Gotcha. Thank you for the correction. Rob Gregerson. Brian, if you could magically fix one thing about this team over the bye, what would it be? That's an excellent question. One thing. I mean, I think it would be the run game, right? Like, if the Seahawks could, I thought I saw progress. I'm not sure everyone else will. I thought I saw progress. I thought the run blocking was better last night. I think that was promising, but that would probably be it. The other thing that was kind of competing in my head was edge rush, but the edge rush has been okay. Like, it's not elite. So I wouldn't say it needs to be fixed, but I would love to make it better, if possible. But those are probably the top two things that come to mind for me. Adam the Islandson says, this is a little nitpicky. That's okay. I've been nothing but nitpicky today. I know the comments are going to be like, why are you so negative? They won. This is how I am. I'm going to judge a team by what they were capable of versus what they did, and how much did they maximize and optimize the outcome. And this was so far from that. So that's where I'm going to be critical. He says, a little nitpicky, but it's alarming. Is it alarming to you at all that once a game Kubiak calls these cute plays that typically end up biting us? I wouldn't say it's once a game. It's been probably 3 times this season. And I think the Milroe stuff was not alarming, but not great. But keep in mind this is one thing I'll say is Clint Kubiak, this is his third season being able to be an OC. Each of the previous 2 places he only got 1 season as the OC. He's still learning as a play caller. I think he's been unreal for the most part. So I will take the occasional head scratching decision for the unreal, like the fact that he was able to get play action going again against the number 1 play action team in the NFL. In fact, I told you I'm done, but I'm not done. I got to look this up. How did the Seahawks do against the number 1 play action team defensively in the NFL? We're going to look this up together. So to answer your question, it is not alarming to me. I don't think it's great, but I'm going to give him some a little bit of grace. So let me look at single game offense. Week was week 7, and we're going to look at play action passing. Play action. Where is it? Play action. There it is. All right. Play action. How did the Seahawks do play action passing in week 7? Come on, NFL Pro. Do your thing. It's thinking. Oh, it does not want to show. Does not want to show me the results. Come on. You know you want to show me the results. Well, I'm going to try one more time. I'm stubborn because I really want to see how they did. My read was that they did pretty well. This is a proxy. It's not perfect, but they didn't do so well under center. EPA per pass. Let's see if not so great. At least based on that. So, yes, I realize I'm getting off topic, but this is me, guys. I see a number. I want to know the answer. So, I'll come back to it once it finally cooperates. But good question. We got another one from OEL. Sam Darnold definitely cost his team on that fumble TD, but also I'd like to know why a pass play was the play call there. Why not run the ball and punt it? Also, no more trick plays. I get it. Everybody hates trick plays. I mean, it was 3rd and 7 inside your own 10. I didn't think the pass play was a bad play call there, but Sam Darnold to me has to be one read and out. If the read isn't there, you throw it out of bounds and you punt. I think it's fine to trust a good quarterback and a smart quarterback in that situation. Up until that point, had not had any terrible plays, but he made a really bad choice. You cannot hitch and retreat and try to break the pocket in your own end zone. That's a Sam Darnold mistake, not a Clint Kubiak mistake in my mind. All right. Adam the Island says, Chase Young is healthy and may be available. Yeah, Chase Young doesn't really do much for me, but I'd be more interested in Carl Granderson from that team. But whatever. Let's just see what the Seahawks do. I think that they've earned John Schneider being aggressive. If he sees an opportunity to improve this team, I think he'll go out and do it. All right, everybody. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. I will see you later today. Celebrate the Seahawks going to 5-2. Enjoy the bye week. I will be back with you tonight on Seahawks Collective on the other channel, 5:00 with Annabelle Hasselbeck, Mike Dugar, and Rob Staten. And then I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, Wednesday. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do because I can't do first look. We're not doing a game this week. So I've got some thinking to do, but we'll have fun with it for sure. Till then, take care.